these are actually just smart displays. So there's no camera, and there's no audio out, but there is audio in. So they're a little fun. I figured I can talk about those a little bit tonight. I'm sure there's other things we can get to, but yeah.
I was debating grabbing some Mystic Libations.
Ooh.
I was like, we'll go with a pair of IPAs instead.
I did actually think early, before I decided to go with wine, I was actually thinking cocktails. I was going, tonight feels like a cocktail night. It feels like not necessarily an IPA night. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, we are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 395, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff, and I brought in someone a little bit different tonight. I've known you for years and years and years and years and years, it feels like. Just a few. Who are you?
So for those wondering, I'm the name behind Skull. I've been a moderator on this channel since some of the wee early days. So for some of you who have been around the Discord late night, I'm an old face. Yes. For some of you who've never been there, I'm probably a new face.
Yeah.
But a name that can poke in here every now and then and might be able to talk about a few things.
Exactly. So yeah, no, Skull was, one of my first 15 or so people on the Patreon.
I think I was number 13.
Yeah, you were in that early couple of months. And you've been basically a moderator ever since. Like we got about like 20 or 30 people on the Discord, and I went, all right, I need to start thinking about adding a mod. And I reached out to two people, and it was you and Rev. And I said, would you guys be willing to mod? And both of you went, funny you should ask. We mod other servers. I don't know if we just floated to the top or what happened. And they've been the mods ever since. So
we've added a few others, but
yeah. So yeah, thank you for joining.
Yeah, no problem. It was like, oh, surprise. Okay, I guess I'll finish dinner and not try to gorge my face while hosting or co-hosting in this case.
Yeah, but I thought I had a co-host all lined up. We usually try to schedule co-hosts about a month out, and the next like 8 weeks for me are nuts because I think I'm traveling every other week for until the end of September. And then I'm home for, I think, all of October, and then it's the same thing in November again. Like, I'm gone every other week in November. And so the schedule's been nuts, and Rett had texted me, and I thought he had said, I'm good the 13th. What he said is, I'm out of town on the 13th. And so I penciled him in for the 13th. And I've been texting him all day and going, hey, just wanted to make sure we're good for tonight. We all good? And he never texted back because he's out of town. And we got about 5 minutes left up till showtime, and I scrolled through the messages and I went, oh. And so, last minute, Skull agreed to jump in and co-host for the night. Now, it's probably been a long time coming to finally get you on the air and maybe introduce some folks to you.
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit, but it's like, I'm here most nights anyhow, so just whether I'm in the background or not.
Exactly. So, but yeah, thank you for joining. As you probably caught in our conversation before I officially started the show, I decided to go for a bottle of wine tonight. I thought Rett was going to be on, so I was going to turn it into a Wine Wednesday. So I'm opening a 1924 limited edition whiskey barrel-aged red blend. Yeah. So couldn't be a entirely Wine Wednesday. I wanted a little whiskey with it too, and this caught my eye at the store the other night. But you know how this show goes. What are you drinking tonight, sir?
Well, I had to run up and grab. I've been normally on like doing like an NA or opening up with water. So I'm not like, all right, I got to the third or fourth beer in the after party. But I grabbed a pair of big IPAs, one probably unknown, one very well known to this channel.
Ooh.
But the first one I grabbed was where are we?
Here we go. There we go.
Got a Lua Ramparts. Lua's a brewery here in my town of Des Moines. It's a Red IPA, Citra Mosaic, and Simcoe. Good old, what do we got? 6.5%. And then for a beer 2, grabbed a classic.
Oh,
Fear Movie Lions, Stone. Just kind of one of those regular, you see the 6-pack of Tall Boys.
yes.
At a decent price, and it's like, it's just always on hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually referenced FML in... I shot a video. It was the FMS wrap up, I think, that I shot. I think that one went live.
Yeah.
In fact, I still have the can sitting here on my desk. I reviewed this beer during that, which is a 3-way collaboration between Comrade, Ecliptic, and Stoop Brewing, all out of Washington, called Orbital Plane West Coast IPA Tangulum Collab Series. I've never had this beer. I've never heard of this collab series, although I've had beer from all 3 of those breweries. And I said, this might be one of my favorite West Coast IPAs that I've had, because it reminds me of Megalodon and Fear Movie Lions and those big, giant, crystal clear, but amazingly good IPAs that we get. And so, yeah, FML is always a go-to.
It's an easy grab.
Yes.
It's I think one of the more appropriately priced intro IPAs for a West Coast style, like $12-13 a 6-pack.
Yeah, and it's 9.2%. It's a fairly big beer, or 8.7, something like that.
8.5.
8.5. Okay. All right. I was close. Yeah. But yeah.
I saw a couple of interesting beers in the chat. One that we were just kind of talking about before starting.
Yeah, they started rolling in right at 7 because people know get your beers in at 7, and we didn't start until 7:15. So
first one that jumped out at me was Michael S. grabbing that Dragon's Milk. I was debating grabbing.
Classic. Let's see. Had a couple more roll in. Where did they go? Vince chiming in with his normal beer glasses. Nice to see you, Vince. Rev, one of our other mods, checking in, cracking a 2025 3-way IPA Hazy Edition. 3-way is an annual collaboration between Fort George Brewing out of Astoria, and then they usually choose a couple of other Oregon breweries, or sometimes they'll go even wider. But this one is with Sun River and Mirage. Both are Oregon breweries. 4.11 on Untappd. And I think I agree with that one. I had that beer just a couple of weeks ago, and it is fantastic this year. Vince says, "Who's this nerd?" Michael says, "New glasses too?" Yes, new glasses. Maybe we'll chat a little bit about those here in a sec, because they are a little bit tech related. Let's see, Novella, another long time patron. What did he have? Lowlands Scotch Ale, 9%, 4.23 on Untappd. Jeff should schedule Jeff Spungle? What? For episode 400? I don't know who that is. Spungle? I don't know who that is. I honestly do not know.
Spungle?
I know lots of Jeffs in this space. Yeah,
take a note for later and putting that one down.
Yeah, definitely. No offense if I don't know you. There's lots of people I don't know, but no, I think we're gonna try to do a social show for 400 sometime around episode 400. I don't even know if I'm gonna be home for episode 400. I haven't scheduled that far out yet. Again, travel's kind of nuts here for the next couple of months.
Just saw Justin in there, also opening a Fear Movie Lions.
Twinsies.
Good call,
nice.
sir. A Skull, Cyclone, or a Hawkeye fan. I actually almost went to Iowa, but it was my fallback school. My wife went to Iowa State though, so maybe a divided household.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Let's see in here, John Jay with a Heady Topper by The Alchemist. That's a tough one to beat.
Yeah. Yep. So how's your Lua brewing?
Oh, this is the second one of these that I've opened. Lua is a relatively new brewer in Iowa, in Des Moines, about a couple miles from my house. They are making a good name for themselves in Midwest brewers, as I think they're overtaking, the general favorite of Iowa brewers over Toppling Goliath.
Okay.
Which is fighting words, because if you talk to like the brewers at Toppling Goliath, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, our favorite people to work with over at Lua."
Right. And Lua's meanwhile's going, "We're coming for you."
Yeah. But it's cool, like husband and wife brewers.
Nice.
That are the owners for it. Great little restaurant patio. Expensive beers, but I've never had a bad one from them. But they're in that middle ground of like, we do semi-seasonals, and we have a small handful of like regulars.
Yeah.
But you don't have like all right, there's 2,000 different things as we're trying to figure out what we're actually doing.
Right.
And Novella put in is like, usually the beers that Lua produces or that other people have been collabs with Lua. They just don't have a lot of the big distributing.
Right. Yeah, we have, obviously a ton of breweries over here in Oregon as well. And it's funny you mentioned husband-wife. One of my friends, very close friends, Dan and Julie, quite a few years ago, went out and formed Ratchet Brewing. And they're one of the more up-and-coming breweries kind of here in the mid-Willamette Valley, Salem area in Oregon. They've got 2 locations. They've got again, like you said, dynamite patio. They invite food trucks in, plus they've got their own in-house kitchen, and fantastic brews. So it's fun when you find those places that may not have the even interstate distribution, but quality beer.
Yeah, and it's a fat hacker with a little $2 Australian Skull YouTube win. I reserve my YouTube channel for the Beer Secret Santa openings. So if you're part of our regular Beer Secret Santas, I go through the job of recording them and cutting them down into segments. So if you're not able to make the live opening of the package that you sent someone, you can catch a recorded version of it. So that is the current exclusivity of my YouTube channel.
Yeah. So over on the Discord part of the Patreon, link in the description. Highly recommend it. Every year we do a Beer Secret Santa that is organized primarily by Funky Monk, one of our other mods here on the channel. He hooks people up either regionally or internationally. Sets limits, makes sure packages get shipped and tracked and everything else, and he does a fantastic job of putting that all together. And then you, Skull, you handle all the video end of things, the actual opening and video
Joining
scheduling,
of late night sessions.
Yes.
Private tapings of openings when you can't make the original ones.
Yep. But that is always a fun time. We've done that 5 years now. I think we started in 2020 as kind of a extension of the COVID festivities. and it just kind of continued.
We usually spoon up and start up everything like end of October, and we say, hey, you've got to have your packages out by this date, and that way we can do kind of the grand reveal. But I know a lot of us have slowly been gathering a stash of stuff.
Yep.
last year I started like gathering a bunch of fun IPAs over the course of the year to send. And then of course the person I get says, send me stouts for me, sours for the wife.
Yeah.
So I had this fun collection of IPAs that I just had to have myself.
Green Protagonist sends in $10. Thank you so much. Enjoyed chatting Android ports today over on the Discord. I'm excited for full ports of classic console games, especially to Android, Windows, Linux, or all of the above. Also, Winulator with GOG licenses could be safe content. Yeah, actually, so obviously there's been a lot going on in the world of handheld emulation and handheld consoles. It's a niche but rapidly growing market. I myself am a little bit of an enthusiast in that area, although I've not necessarily dived into that in the YouTube side of things. Like I've reviewed mainly like the PC gaming handhelds, the premium handhelds, but I do own a number of Android and Linux based devices. I've got an Anbernic 350M that is part of my goes in every single carry-on bag that I've taken on a plane over the last 3 years. I've got a Retroid Pocket 2. I've got quite a few of the SP clamshells. I just collect them. They're fun, and all of them are a little bit different, and maybe have different control schemes to them, and maybe fit different consoles better. But it's always felt weird trying to do emulation-based reviews on YouTube, given the climate of Nintendo being Nintendo and everything else, and also emulation existing within a fairly gray legal area. I have done some emulation content on my channel, although whenever I do it, I typically have like I've done Breath of the Wild reviews a couple of times, or benchmarks, but I have the Breath of the Wild case sitting on the shelf behind me. So even if I do get claimed,
Don't
it's
worry,
like,
Nintendo,
it's sitting right there. Right. And so I've done that before. But diving into like doing 30 game reviews, I don't have a collection that big anymore. And so it feels a little weird.
And I could get into just don't ask where I got this content.
Right. And yeah, it feels weird.
It's like, do you need to claim the U.S. Fifth Amendment? Like, I can't self-incriminate on this.
Mm-hmm. Right. But there is a growing segment of that emulation market, of that lighter weight or entry-level handheld market, with both Android and Linux, getting more and more classic game ports. And so there's ports of, and these have existed forever. These are some of the older ones that I know and have on a lot of my devices. Duke Nukem 3D, and there's the Devolution X source port of Diablo.
Look at all the various old DOS that have fallen out.
Oh yeah,
that are easy enough to port.
One Must Fall 2097, one of my favorite all-time DOS games, has a source port that you can play natively on Linux and Android handhelds. There's a fairly recent project called Portmaster that's out there that allows you to, from one single front end, load a lot of these source ports, and as long as you provide the commercial files to them, it automatically generates the port for you. And so they have things like some of the old DOS games, maybe some GOG stuff, but they've also got stuff like Ship of Harkanian, the official piece or unofficial PC port for Ocarina of Time, and they make loading all that nice and easy for your particular device. And so
go out and buy your 5 1/4 external floppy drive to USB.
Right, exactly.
Get them before they go up in price.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've considered maybe diving into that, but man, I'm also busy enough doing everything else that I focus on the channel. It's hard to add another aspect of hardware that I don't necessarily already cover.
Yeah, it's one of those areas I've been tempted to get into, but I've never dived into it because, like, just go get a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally and emulate off of that. And it's like, okay, I'm already the guilty party when I travel and I'm taking my work laptop and my personal laptop. Well, do I just not take my personal laptop and take one of these? Do I go to just something simple like one of the small little handles that I could put, old Game Boy games or whatnot on? Yeah, you just put in chat Descent and Descent 2.
Yep.
Like, oh,
yeah,
classic.
I have both of those on my 350M as well. Like I said, my 350M is my go anywhere, do anything. It's the size of a Game Boy Advance. It's a 3.5-inch screen. It's a metal enclosure, so it's beefy as all heck. It still has dual analog sticks, but it also has the pair of R1, R2 triggers plus L3, R3, the joysticks press in. Yeah, really nice ABXY. The D-pad and the ABXY are on the top with the joysticks on the bottom, so it's meant to be primarily a 16-bit and before system. But it runs everything extraordinarily well, both emulation and a lot of the old native PC ports.
Yeah.
And man, for what that device is, I absolutely love it.
Because in that older game, the last time I was traveling, I actually loaded up a little travel version of Free Space, and I was playing that because I was like, you know what, I haven't thought about that game in a long time. Let's jam out in the hotel room to this for like an hour.
Yes, yeah, no, Free Space is one of my all-time favorites as well. In fact, years ago before I started the channel, I had built myself a full sit-down cockpit that could be used for racing or space sim, and primarily what I played in there for space sim was Free Space. Just because you put a 40-inch screen in front of you and a joystick and a nice HOTAS setup, man, that is immersive as crap. So lots and lots of fun.
It was making me miss the joystick. The old I still got the Sidewinder, the Microsoft one.
Oh yeah, okay.
With the throttle control on it.
Yep.
It's like, you know, when you were playing MechWarrior 1 and 2, what you had to have.
Yes. I had MechWarrior 2, and we bought it right after we got our Pentium 166 with MMX, and it had an ATI 3D Rage in it. And so this was actually a custom version of MechWarrior 2 called the ATI 3D Rage Edition, which was fully 3D accelerated inside of Windows. And so it wasn't the DOS version that ran 320 by 240, 320 by 200. This ran 640 by 480 at maybe 20 frames a second, but fully 3D rendered with lighting effects, and it was baller for the day.
And when you had that like 6 laser mech, that like there was that stutter when you would fire, like, am I gonna get it?
Yep. All right, there's been enough comments on my glasses. I think it's time to address the glasses. Yes, I got new glasses. They actually arrived about maybe 2 hours before the show. And yes, these are AR glasses. That's actually the second set of new glasses that I've received in as many weeks. These are also new glasses, and no one noticed these. But yeah, these are AR glasses. So these are the Even Realities G1. And they are smart glasses, but they're, I would put them as smart glasses as Pebble is to smart watches. And with Pebble coming back, I think that's all the more relevant.
They're dumb smart glasses.
They're very dumb smart glasses. They do have a heads-up display. I am looking through a wall of text at the camera right now, and you can't see it, but it is a bright green reader board to me in my vision.
Secret teleprompter.
Secret teleprompter. That's exactly right. That's exactly why I wanted them, actually. Is the app has a built-in teleprompter app. And a couple more features. This does not have audio, so there's no sound feedback or haptic feedback or anything like that. But it does have a microphone on it. And the microphone is used for transcription, and so I can hold it in and create new text-to-speech notes on it. I can... it also has a live translation feature, and so if I'm traveling, I can set it up to auto-translate what it hears, and it'll play the text in my vision. And so I can read what people are saying.
What was it, like do a hover version of the text, or is it, you know, so it'll have, like, if you're in Taiwan, it'll have it in Taiwanese Mandarin, or it'll have it in just English hovering above?
That's a great question. I have no idea. So, but I do know it has a feature. I believe it is if someone is speaking to me, it will transcribe it in English
and do like closed caption
and do closed captioning for me.
Yeah.
Now obviously I can't do it back the other way. I can't really tell it what I want to say, and like I can't do it back the other way, but at least it might be able to help me hear what people are saying.
Yeah.
Which would be
speak slower.
Yeah.
My glasses can't process that.
Exactly. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, I bought this to use as a teleprompter. Now, obviously this does have a microphone. This has a feature in the teleprompter where using text to speech, it will listen to what you're saying and scroll the teleprompter at whatever pace that you're reading it at. And so it's an auto scroll. And I tried it just like a half hour before we went live. It does work. It's going to take some getting used to. But I bought this so I could have a teleprompter when I'm doing any kind of remote shoots. And in fact, I have one next week that's going to be a fairly intensive shoot day. And I've got like 15 minutes on camera that I need to be reading in real time. And I didn't necessarily want to travel with a giant teleprompter. I wanted something that I can control, that's nice and easy to interface with. And so I got this. And so far I'm happy. But we'll see what happens when I record an actual video. I think I'm going to record a video with it tomorrow morning just to see what it looks like.
Yeah. And use it live and see how you like it.
Right.
First. No.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Versus travel to San Jose and do a contracted speaking event as your first foray with it. No, I'd probably want to test it first.
Yeah, I've seen some offers. Elmo saying he can try it in Spanish on the after party. Our favorite Tech Potato giving you some text to try to read, see if it does it.
Yeah. I know when I tilt my head a certain way, like right there, you can see there's something there. But it's not like you're seeing what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is a bright green reader board pixel display. And so it is brighter than my monitor is right now. Like I can look down at my monitor and I can see the text floating in front of my monitor and read the text. And so, but yeah, Ian chiming in with, he's tried the auto scroll teleprompters before and they haven't worked with tech words. With this one, it actually does have an AI component to the text to speech. It's not simply trying to interpret, it's actually trying to follow along with what you're saying. I can skip words, I can skip down a sentence, I can go back and it'll scroll back for me. And over the tech words, it didn't necessarily pick up on those, but it knew if I skipped ahead 2 or 3 words to just keep going. It wasn't waiting for me to say E3.S drive. It knew once I got through that sentence and said 245 terabytes and then start the next sentence, it goes, oh, he's here now. And it jumped. And it actually seemed pretty seamless. So we'll see how they do. They are not cheap. They were $600.
But you get to write it off on maybe vision insurance and as a big expense.
Exactly, yeah. So I didn't get my prescription lenses in these because that would have been an extra, I think, $200. But if I end up keeping them, I can send them back in for free and just pay the $200 and get my prescription lenses added into them. And so I figured I'd do that. I didn't want to get them with only prescription lenses and then not be happy with them and then have to sell them. And here's some AR glasses. They're only in my prescription, which is freaking weird.
Here, tries this. Why is everything blurry?
Right.
And
I have 2 very different prescriptions in my eyes. So
that's gonna be weird if it did it with text. Now that I think about it, because if it's altering the depth of the glass or the curvature of the glass, that might be weird how it would warp the text as part of that virtual display.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So luckily my vision is as such that I can typically read a computer monitor just fine. It's with me, it's a lot of the adjustment. It's going from monitor to looking 8 feet away to back to the monitor to 8 feet away. My eyes do not, that they get tired so quickly that they lose focus and then they can't reattain it. But if I'm just looking at my monitor, I'm fine all day. So, let's see.
Take some like for the glasses. I mean, as a former educator myself, I look at those and wonder, okay, how do I know if, is this prime aspect for cheating on a test? Like, all right,
oh yes,
give me your glasses. I can't have you taking this test.
Yeah, because I can set up a full like 20 page thing in here, and I can scroll by hitting the temple. And so if I'm wiping my hair a lot, I'm probably scrolling through notes.
Yeah. Is he telling me to steal second? I don't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things. Is for I guess a little bit of history. Before I moved into big tech, I was a public school teacher, and so I think about like, okay, all right, do I need to like keep up on AR glasses because who's going to be wearing them?
Right. I mean, legitimate concern. Same thing with smartwatches. Same thing with a whole bunch of other tech. I mean, AirPods. People have cheated with AirPods before. The really fun one is modern hearing aids that are completely invisible, that have 3-day battery life.
And are Bluetooth enabled.
And are Bluetooth enabled to your phone. Yeah.
Are you zoning out, or are you doom scrolling Facebook? Right. Glasses.
I wish they had like some gesture control so I could just like.
Get to level 2. All right. So what's on the docket for today?
For today, that's a good question. So the obvious one that I saw was Altera is in the headlines. For those who recognize the name but they're not sure from where, Altera is a company that Intel bought a number of years ago for their FPGA development. And as part of Intel, they developed a neat little chip called the DE10 Nano. That's probably their biggest claim to fame. Why does that sound familiar? Well, that's the chip that's used in the MiSTer project, as well as basically retro PCs and arcades the world over. Like it is one of the most adopted FPGA chips for the consumer market. And I saw this pop up and my heart kind of skipped a beat because of so many projects that Altera is used for. Altera cuts nearly 100 jobs at their Silicon Valley headquarters in San Jose. And I kind of went, oh crap. Because I knew Intel is in some pretty dire financial straits, and every time they're like, all right, keep it steady, they hit another pothole. It's not going well.
And if it's not either delaying a project or announcing another round of layoffs or something, it's not in good straits. But from a bigger commercial sense, FPGAs are kind of what we're seeing out of utilization of them is really starting to just get interesting. You know, we figured out a lot of the small scale project items, figured out a lot of networking items with them.
Yes.
But we're only kind of breaking the seal here. And so it's a little sad to see, okay, this is a pretty strong competitor for Intel in this space that I don't know how many employees Altera has, but
I did reach out to figure some of that out, because I saw this and I kind of went, oh no, like and same kind of thing as you. Like my first thing was retro computing. DE10 Nano, Mr. Project. Oh no.
Yeah.
What if this goes
This
away?
for?
Right. Oh, and Ian's chiming in. Intel acquired Altera in 2015 for $15 billion, and they are spinning off Altera for $8.5 billion. Altera has 4,000 employees.
So in the grand scheme of things, 100 employees
is 1%.
Not that big.
Yeah, it's 1%. Yeah. So what I thought was actually kind of a niche company, with Altera spinning off from Intel. And I went, God, what do they have? Like 300 people there, maybe? Like, I thought this was a smaller division, or would have been a smaller division. No, they're retaining 400 or 4,000 staff. And likely the staff that were let go were only there to facilitate the transition of Altera from Intel. And now that that's been completed, are no longer needed and were always probably destined for this fate. And so I got worried. But it seems like this is a very healthy thing. And
from a bigger, argument of what this is, Ian just pointed it in chat, but I'm also seeing in the article, it was a majority sale, so 51% to a private equity firm, and that's $8.75 billion back in Intel's coffers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for an Intel, just shy of $9 billion is probably not the biggest, blip on the radar.
Right.
But for, hey, where can we scrap together some cash? Yeah. So
the current valuation is $8.5 billion. Intel got 51% of that, so 4.7.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, all right, it's a cash injection for Intel when Intel is hurting.
Yeah. So yeah.
So expected to close later this year. 1% of their employees. That was probably that merger, and I would assume, without knowing, just in familiar space here, that Altera probably largely existed as their own under Intel.
Yeah,
just kind of as a own sub entity.
Yeah.
So it's probably not that big of a transition for them to go fully independent.
Yeah, it could have also been. Intel has been kind of known over the last decade or so to be very heavy middle management. This could be a lot of that Intel culture or Intel business strategy as far as middle management goes being pruned just a little bit. We don't know the exact staffing that was let go, but that also seems entirely plausible. So be interesting to see where Altera goes from here, again, as a fully independent or 51% non-owned company, for all intents and purposes fully independent. AMD's been coming out with a lot of FPGA products lately, and they haven't necessarily been big news, but they are there and they are entering that space. Curious to see where FPGA development goes from here, because like I said, consumer facing, some of the biggest ones have been some of the smaller projects that we've seen, the DE10 Nano and thereon. But I know there's FPGAs that are 100, 1,000 times larger than the DE10 Nano. And
are usually a little bit more specialized.
Yeah.
Pen. And there's a couple of good questions in chat. Michael putting in, do you think this will keep Intel afloat? By this thing alone, there's no way to say. They're like, this is too small of a blip to affect the overall thing.
Yeah,
I do think it's a indicator that Intel is trying to do some things.
Yeah.
To just right the ship, so to say. And I don't know if we're going into it, but we can go into the cash wars coming soon.
Yeah.
But then I also see, David put in there, every org is trying to go flatter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Integrated too quickly, too fast. That's why they floundered inside of Intel. Okay. Good to know and good insight. Integrated too quickly.
Which again kind of supports that maybe there was a lot of Intel middle management that, that the Intel culture of we go when we're ready, we do things our way, we, who knows, maybe Altera will be a little bit more nimble, a little bit more agile as a company now. Maybe they have specific goals in mind that didn't align with Intel's development goals. Because all that kind of thing happens when companies merge and when companies split. Is people want to run a company one way, people want to run a company a different way, people have different goals and markets and segments that they want to hit in mind. Now Intel's 4.7 billion richer and Altera gets to call their own shots. I don't think there's anything negative about this. One thing I did see that was on the rumor mill earlier this week that kind of ticked off. I just bought a new MacBook Air because my favorite all-time Mac is one of the most hated Macs of all time. It's the 12-inch MacBook. I loved the 12-inch MacBook. The thinner and lighter than a MacBook Air, but we'll call it a MacBook because Air was already taken. Super low power. I had the Core M7 variant of it, which was like a 7-watt ultra low volt dual core processor. I did have 16 gigs of RAM in it and a 512 SSD. But man, for a
beefier of a tablet.
Right, yeah, it was a slightly beefier tablet, but that battery went 10 hours. It had a full-size keyboard. A lot of people hated that keyboard. It did have the butterfly mech. I loved the feel of that keyboard, and mine never stopped working because I don't eat over the top of mine. But that form factor is apparently coming back. And it's not coming back at a premium price point. It's coming back to destroy entry-level price points.
It's gonna hurt.
$599 for a 12.9-inch MacBook, based on the top-end A18 Pro processor. So, not getting Apple's M series lineup, their M1, M2 series lineup, but getting instead the iPhone, iPad top-end SKUs. But running Mac OS, 12.9 inch, $599. If this is a 95% competent Chromebook that runs Mac OS and runs it well, and has a 10 to 12 to 14 hour battery life and is $599, they're going to sell they're going to sell these in the millions.
The big questions that I have with it are they going... I don't think that they stay the more aluminum body with this. I think they go back to more of a plastic body at that price range.
They might have to.
They might have to. But I think this is another attack back to the realm that you're familiar with. How do I go back to the schools and one user, one device?
Yep.
One student, one device style, and what can we just send out in the masses?
Yeah.
And as Mario put in there, September launch, shocker.
Yeah.
For Apple.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's a good move for them. I'm curious to see how much assumptive flack they get for, oh, they're just throwing an iPhone processor in a MacBook. I'm curious to see where that goes. I think it's enough,
Yeah.
especially with a structured OS,
Yeah.
like iOS is. But I think this could do it.
Chromebooks have been creeping up over the years. Like, well and truly gone is the $199 Chromebook. Most Chromebooks are $350 at the bottom end anymore, trending upwards towards $500. And you know what? A lot of schools still opt for MacBook Airs, still opt for the $899, $999 MacBook Air. Man, if you can get something at $599 with 3-year AppleCare on it for, $750, that's a pretty tempting get.
Well, it's like, I'm personally interested in this potentially. My wife's in her own small business and been using a 10th gen Intel laptop, just Windows. Picked up a good deal on it. And I was kind of eyeing the MacBook Airs. It's like, okay, this might be it. But she's not by any means a power user.
Right.
My only opposition to this is like, do I want to start reintegrating iOS into my home when I've just got enough of it converted over to Windows and Linux?
Yeah.
It's like,
that is the question, because I famously swore off iPhones for years and years, although my main teleprompter here in the office is an iPad. And I've run a number of small businesses over the years, and what makes great point of sale devices? iPads. And so I own 9 iPads, something like that. And for quite a few years I had gone without Mac devices, although I picked up a couple used. I bought a couple Mac Pros here and there. And then, man, as soon as the M1 dropped, I bought an M1 MacBook Pro, and man, right back into the Apple macOS ecosystem. And shortly after that, bought an M1 Mac Mini, and that's been was running a lot of my CAD stuff, 3D printing workstation, all that kind of stuff. And earlier this year, I got an M4 Mac Mini. In fact, it's sitting on my desk right here, being super cute in this nice little enclosure that I got, running Lower Decks on a stream next to me. And so I've got the M4 Mac Mini now, and then the M4 Mac Mini works so freaking well, I went out and bought an M4 MacBook Air. But I'm looking at it going, man, my oldest daughter is still using my old, not even mine. It's one that I picked up for like $150, like a 13-inch MacBook Air, I think from 2015. Because all she does is get onto Parsec and play on one of my remote gaming servers out in the garage. And so that's her gaming machine. But I'm going, man, that's 10 years old at this point. It's starting to have some problems. It doesn't upgrade anymore.
I was going to say, my most recent Apple or Apple adjacent purchase.
Can you tell people about your iPod?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So I've been wanting, like, okay, travel for work. I'm just going to listen to something, whether it's music, audiobook, podcast, whatever. And I started like scoping out, and I was like, I still have my old iPod and different projects to update it. And so I took an old iPod and found a nice little kit to convert it to Bluetooth and about 4 times the battery and a terabyte of flash storage.
Yep.
And said, all right, you will never die. Like, the main worry about this thing is actually the micro SD cards for the storage, if those ever go out.
Yeah.
But did some research around and found the small little company out of the UK that sells the little effectively a daughter board for the audio.
Mhm.
So the company, where are we, camera? We're moving out of here. So it's actually got USB-C, Bluetooth, still has the headphone jack, and all the
Nice.
functionality. The only thing that I will say I'm annoyed by it with is the Bluetooth is only like an what you would use like to connect to like a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
So you have no pass through of controls. So like you can't, if you have like play pause functionality on your Bluetooth headset, it's not gonna do that.
Right.
And you go like, why is it so quiet? Oh, because the volume on the device
On the iPod
and
is,
the headset needs to be. But yeah, I've been having some fun with it. Yeah, nice to just chuck into it a bunch of. Yeah, I just did a trip out into Pacific Northwest for a couple of days for work, and a couple of 2.5-hour plane rides, and I don't think I saw the battery move.
Nice.
Never had to charge it. Did the soldering side of it, so it'll do USB-C for data and power, as well as the 30-pin still works.
Oh wow, nice. I was going to ask if you still had 30-pin compatibility, or if the daughter board and USB-C interface messed with that at all.
Still works.
That's cool.
The 30-pin will charge it. The 30-pin will do the data rate. The only annoying thing on it is the USB-C is limited to USB 2 speeds.
I was betting it would be. Yeah, it's still passing through to the host. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a nice little kit. Took a little bit of time to get here because the company was going through some. It seems like they were going through different model reiterations, as I'm sure you're aware of some validation samples.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh yeah, I think I bought it in like March, and they said we're gonna ship in April. And April came around, and they're like, end of April, I get a message that says, we're sorry, we're upgrading your model to our new board. It's going to have this features. So it now has haptic built into it. So like as you do the old wheel and clicks,
it'll click. Nice.
It'll still click.
Nice.
But they're like, we're so sorry. Orders will still be shipped out. We're expecting to ship early July. So I got it, I think like the 10th of July. And got it all working, functioning. It was my original iPod.
Yeah.
That was been sitting in a drawer for 12 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
It went from 60 gigs to 1 terabyte.
Nice.
Old back is still here, and that pillow's got a little fluff to it.
Little spicy pillow.
Yeah.
A little baby spicy pillow.
Just got to get rid of that one.
Yep. Nice.
The kit is called Moonlit Market Classic Connect. Like I said, the only two negatives that I would give to it are just the Bluetooth no interactive capability. That's kind of to just be expected. The other thing with this kit is you actually glue it back together with the original front, rather than it clicking back in. I think they're just assuming that people are going to break the clips as they disassemble it.
It is a 20-year-old device after all. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the frame of it sits just a little outside, but works. Everything's functioning. Just had to, beat my face and not beat the face, but manually format modern SD cards to go into FAT32 because they did not want to do it.
No. I have specific tools on my Windows 11 PC for doing larger than 32 gig FAT32 partitions.
I just diskpart and said, do what I tell you to.
Even diskpart sometimes will complain based on your table of contents and stuff like that on certain disks. So I've ran into that on just USB sticks. Like I'll put a 64 gig in there and go, it has to be FAT32 because I'm doing a Linux grub boot, and it goes, nope, not gonna do that. So
no. Yeah, and Tara was saying my audio is just a little low.
Yeah.
I can boost it on my side unless you want to.
I can touch it up just a bit here. We'll give you about 2.5 dB. There we go.
All right. Yeah, minus the 40 dB that has to go into this mic to make it working. Hopefully that's better, Tara. But yeah, so if anybody's looking to it, Moonlit Market Classic Connect 2. I think the kit was about like 110 USD.
That's really not bad.
But it is just the Bluetooth board, the battery, and I got the upgraded battery, and the back case. You provide the storage adapter, and the storage adapter.
Yeah.
Well, and the front of the device. I think you can buy full kits from them too that are just already done.
Okay.
So like if you don't want to like go through the hassle, and it's like, just send me an iPod that works. Right now I've got just the classic iPod OS on there.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of debating, do I go to like Rockbox?
Yeah.
But right now it's working. 150. Yeah. I think prices went up with their new model, but
yeah.
Fun little project.
Nice. It's always fun to repurpose stuff like that. Make it functional again. I was for years actually considering a similar mod, because most of my cars have not been smart. I've added smart functionality to them with Android Auto decks or whatever else. But for a while we had a car that had a USB audio interface, and so if you loaded it up with MP3s, you could play MP3s and set playlists and things like that. And so for a while I was considering pulling up an old iPod, and it would integrate with iPod as well. And so if you set up playlists in your iPod, you could go through that. I was thinking about doing something similar just to put in my car.
Speaking of car, because I just remembered, because I saw Coffee put the link to it in the Discord chat. It also has the Qi charging / magnetic, like just pop it on a thing. So it's like, here you go. It's charging. It's or at least like car mounts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah.
Another super chat from Green, $5. Thank you so much. I've been testing Apollo and Artemis, which, for those who don't know, are forks of Sunlight or Sunshine and Moonlight for game streaming. So Moonlight is a re-implementation of NVIDIA's game streaming, and Artemis is the re-implementation of Moonlight to emulate that. Custom automatically deployed virtual display is killer. 144 hertz, 2480 by 1116 Red Magic 10 Pro. Very cool. Artemis. So if you've ever tried to do virtual gaming with a GPU pass-through or a vGPU setup, most of the streaming services that you use will not allow for virtual displays. And so even if you have a rendering card, you have to have a monitor plugged in, or you have to have vGPU enabled, which is NVIDIA's implementation of a virtual display. Artemis has a virtual display. And so you could just pass through an NVIDIA raster card. You could put a P40 on a pass-through. And if you're running Artemis, it'll just work.
It opens up some fun.
It does. That opens up a lot of really fun use cases. So I haven't toyed with it yet, but it is definitely on my list. And in fact, I just bought another GPU to run in a game server, so we'll see how that one works. There's a GPU that I've been waiting to fall for a little while that has some features that I really, really like. Spoiler alert, RTX 4000. Which is a single slot. So if you want to run like 6 of them in a server, you could totally do that. Same GPU as the RTX 2070. It's still only 8 gigabytes, but I think for most game streaming setups, I'm not expecting 1080p 180 hertz. I'm expecting 1080p
60.
medium 60 FPS, more than fine. It's still fully supported because it is an RTX card. It's Turing based, but it's also fully compatible with lossless scaling. And so I'm looking at doing lossless scaling fully implemented with Artemis on a full PCIe pass-through, and seeing how that fares. Because I did the $100 GPU last month in the W5500. I want to see how it does with a $200 GPU, or what I paid $160 for mine, and see how that does, kind of cranked up a little bit.
Yeah. And especially still at single slots.
Yeah.
You've got to open up a lot of options without crazy one slot mods that are questionable in their functionality.
Right. That may or may not work depending on how you applied the tape.
Yeah.
Insert Kermit meme here.
Yeah. HVAC tape. Everyone's favorite GPU accessory. Well, I am ready for beer number 2.
I was about to ask you because I just I was going to top off my wine here. How was your first one?
It was excellent. So this is the second of the 4-pack that I've had it, but it's one of their semi-regulars that you get at the brewery. One of my local spots that I like to go get beers from, and has a good selection, and started taking their cans. I was like, oh, I've not seen Ramparts in cans. So I'm a big fan. I'm going to grab some. Solid red IPA. Little less malty than what you would want normally out of like a red. Very much so that Citra very forward hop on it. So I classify it more as a slightly malty IPA than a very red, like your Ninkasi Dawn of the Reds out by you,
right?
Or your one of my big favorites over in Michigan, the Big Red, which formerly had a different name, from Old Notion, but still I'm a big fan of red IPAs. I'm a big fan of red ales. I'm a big fan of IPAs. So cool, let's go.
Cool.
Not going to turn that down. How's the wine?
It is excellent.
Was that your first glass?
That was my first glass. So that I kind of added maybe an inch to it a little bit ago, but just polish off the first glass. So I'm going with number 2 here. So again, this is the 1924 limited edition whiskey barrel aged red blend. I am very much a red wine fan, if I could speak properly. Specifically Cabernet Sauvignon. Like I love a really hearty red wine. I like to taste the barrel, much like my liquor. And you add a whiskey barrel age to a good red blend, I am all about it. This is delicious and full of whiskey. So there's not a lot I can complain about here. Let me see if I can get you some actual flavor notes. Because normally you'd go, oh, that's a very oaky red. Well, yes, it's whiskey barrel aged red. Like I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, where's the nuance?
Where's the nuance? Right, I'm trying to bring some nuance. And what flavors are in there? Because the primary flavor is whiskey. Like that's the really fun thing about this one.
Is it wine flavored whiskey or is it whiskey flavored wine?
I would lean towards, it's wine flavored whiskey. The first sip I took of it,
fruits,
definitely some dried fruits. Gosh,
we've just learned Jeff cannot be a sommelier.
Oh, if you watch any of my early beer reviews, this is how my beer reviews went. Yeah, it tastes like hops. Not really leather. It doesn't taste like leather. It doesn't have... If I had to go fruit, and again, I'm approaching this from more of like a beer reviewer standpoint, little pomegranate forward. Like if I had to pin a fruit on it. So
tartar.
It's a little bit more tart. And again, I'm trying to like work around the whiskey to kind of reach to what the red is bringing it. Yeah, it's a little bit more tart.
Like the sugary of a fig.
No, it's it is not sweet, and in fact, it's got a very dry finish to it, which is why I keep going back for more because I'm a little parched.
I am surrounded by people that like wine. I'm not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I will drink a table white to be polite, you know. But it's not something I go to of my own volition.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of fig to it, kind of right there in the meaty center of it, right before it dries out. But no, that primary flavor is, I wouldn't quite go bourbon with it, but it is a. I'm having a hard time pulling them apart. That's the problem.
Like a drier Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Or
yes. Yeah, it's
like probably like getting to like a redbreast of like dryness.
Precisely. It's
when we could talk in whiskey terms, I'm here with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not a rye. It is definitely not a rye.
It's not spicy like a rye. It's not like got that, peppery flavor.
Yeah,
or that,
and that's the flavor in whiskey I levitate towards. Is I love rye cocktails and rye whiskeys in general. No, this is definitely redbreast, maybe leaning a little bit Jameson Black Barrel, kind of body feel to it.
But probably you're not getting the alcohol forward.
No, it is definitely not alcohol forward. But yeah, like I said,
not a bottle you're upset about.
I'm definitely not upset about it. There's some flavors there. I'm having a real hard time separating the wine from the whiskey, though. Like I said, like that. I think that's my biggest struggle. But I think that's also
too much oak.
Yeah,
in the wine.
But I think that's also kind of its biggest strength. If you're wanting a whiskey barrel aged wine, yeah, it's they're both there.
Saying Riesling, the Pilsner of wines. It's a Pilsner that gives you cavities.
Michael says ryes are typically sweeter. Other way around, bourbons are much sweeter than ryes.
But a rye can be sweeter than an Irish.
Yes.
So that might be in that context.
Yeah.
For simplicity, Fear Movie Lions is exactly what Fear Movie Lions always is. It's that nice, clear-ish IPA. Getting a little bit of opacity through it. No, I'm not using a craft computing cup because he's not released the full 20 ounce.
He's waiting for the full Nonic pint.
Yeah, don't give me the little Nonic pint. Give me the full one.
I got a 16 Nonic just for you. I'm having a hard time finding a 20 in a company that'll sell them to me at a price that I want to pay.
Give me the full English pint.
Yeah.
Of that and the either the fat tulip or the stemmed tulip. I'm a big fan of.
I do like a stemmed tulip.
I'm waiting for.
Yeah. You've also been waiting for my taster for a while. So
yeah. I have too many conic pints.
Yeah.
And I have a full set of Nonics already. So it's like, come on, I want the other glass.
Yeah, I think I finally got the engraving to work on this glass. The problem is I'm still at like 70% success rate cutting them. And so it needs a different design. It'll fracture right here on the pint glass because of how dark that is if I don't go at just the right speed.
Could you go like a hash pattern on it?
I might be able to dithering is what that's called in the cutting terms, right? Yeah, I might be able to.
I don't speak mechanical cutting.
Totally fine. Yeah, I might be able to dither it slightly lighter in the Craft Computing logo, because that is where the logo is heaviest, where it's got the most cutting to do. So I've been working on this for like a year and a half, of figuring out if this glass is going to work. I don't even know if I could buy that glass anymore, so should I continue trying? I don't know.
The other one I'd be willing for glassware is the can glasses. I'm a big fan of those. Like, go to Subaru. Yeah. Have you seen they now do the tall? Like, you'll do like the
19s. Yeah.
The 19 ounce. Yeah.
Yep.
Those are always a good time. I need the glass for my connect.
Any Easter eggs on the tasters? No, this is pretty much identical in what's funny is this logo that I'm trying to cut is the same logo that is on the bottle openers, the wooden bottle openers. It fits almost perfectly on the wrap. And then I put the same spiral in the bottom that I do on the pint glasses. But
so wine glass, wine decanter.
Yeah.
Almost saying, now I want wine. I need the glass for my collection.
Yeah.
Is it stemmed or is it not stemmed?
This is
Elmo.
Stemless. Yeah. This one is not stemmed.
Stemless.
Yeah. So I've also experimented with some Glencairn stemless glasses, and those have been even more of a pain in the butt to make work.
It's flavorless to go alone. Take this. It's a good one, Green.
I like that.
Got a good chuckle.
Yeah.
Nice little intermission there for a nice beer reset, wine reset.
I think I've got enough alcohol in me now. We can talk privacy. Yeah. So today's kind of an interesting day because YouTube fully rolled out their new AI Are You the Right Age to Be Watching This Video toolkit, where they may ask you for a proof of ID or a credit card to prove that you are old enough to view a particular video.
We're just gonna charge you 5 cents. That's okay. Just to prove you're an adult.
Right. What's really funny is the YouTube subreddit where they talk about all YouTube drama, everything, has been freaking out about over this. And one of their favorite posts recently has been, I just canceled my YouTube my YouTube premium subscription. It's like, they weren't going to age check you because you already had a credit card on file and paid for YouTube premium. Like, this wasn't about you. And I understand the protest behind it, but it's also like, I voiced my concerns about this a couple of weeks ago. I said I hate legislation that is, oh, won't you think of the children, when it's simply about we want more of your data, or we want to control the flow of information more, or whatever else. Like, you know, having worked in school environments, children,
but I'm reaping all the benefits.
Right. Having worked in school environments, having worked with educators and teachers directly, for one of the best phone calls I ever got was from a teacher who was in a classroom. It was in a publications class or something like that. Mm-hmm. Literally 6 students in the classroom, with like 6 computers at the back of the room. And they were calling to complain that one of their kids wouldn't get off YouTube. And if we, as the tech department oversight thing,
Mhm.
could block YouTube on those 6 computers. And I went, no. Can you tell them to get off YouTube? I'm not in the classroom. You know what's way more effective? Hey, get back to work, or there's going to be consequences. If I block YouTube, they're going to go to Facebook. If I block Facebook, they're going to go here. If I block that, they're going to go to Vimeo. If I block that, they're going to go to Cool Math Games. If I block that, they're going to go to this. If I block that, they're going to go to that.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. God, there was a YouTube video the other day that I watched about this whole controversy that said exactly that. As a kid growing up in this environment, when they blocked Cool Math Games, well, I learned what proxies are. When they blocked proxies, I already had VPNs on back order. And when they found out what VPN they could block, I had 50 others that I could already use. Like, the kids are always ahead. You know what's way more effective? A teacher standing over you going, get back to work. And
can I probably maybe a nuanced approach here?
Absolutely.
So years ago, when I was starting to, I was a public school teacher doing, at the time it was my student teaching. And while I was student teaching, I ended up actually doing my student teaching in the fall. Whereas most people do it in the spring. I had a couple of degrees and that I was going for, and then the way that it worked out, it was easier for me to do my student teaching in the fall, and there was no reason why I couldn't do it. So I ended up student teaching at a school where this was their first year of 1-to-1, of one student, one laptop.
Yeah.
And so, the IT department being very limited at this kind of relatively small Iowa school, was not that capable.
Yeah.
But got Wi-Fi out into every hallway and every classroom and stuff like that. But their network security was atrocious. And so I ended up helping them out a little bit because I knew more about them at this point. But in helping them, my students would go, "Hey, Mr. Skull, why doesn't Facebook work in your classroom, but it works in another classroom?" And it's because I blocked it at the AP layer. And my answer was not I blocked it at the AP layer for them. It was because I'm smarter than you when it comes to this. And, that was the easy way. And I just redirected to a page that was a big red flashing screen that said, you're trying to access something. Or I think it said, what was it? Should you really be looking at this right now?
Yeah.
Was just what it said.
Yeah.
And it was a red flashing screen that said, should you really be looking at this right now? But this was a high school in the US. And one of my early things that I did with the high school students was, hey, it's my job to be your teacher. It's your job to be the student.
Yeah.
If I'm at the back of the class and I'm over there at my computer and I'm just doom scrolling Facebook all day or looking at YouTube videos or looking at anything like that, and the principal walks in, I can lose my job. You know what I can't do? I can't fire you as a student. I can make it sure that you don't pass this class, though, because you're not doing your job. And let's leave it at that. Just do your job. I'll do my job. Let's respect each other. And surprisingly, at high school level, that works well. Middle school layer, not so much. There's an assumption of like adulthood there. But when it comes to like all these solutions of age verification or restriction, stuff like that, it's like maybe I have a nuanced take on it, but I think there's a version of doing this where it could be good. More often than not, it's bad. Like, hey, the anonymity of the internet space. I mean, we both know each other's full legal names. but most people don't know how to look me up.
Yep.
So, there is some good for anonymity,
Yep.
but also there's some bad when anonymity happens.
Totally.
And
when it comes to purely what this is about, is the people behind this are wanting to block adult content from children, which
you go buy porn at 7-Eleven.
Right.
14 years old, but you could get on the internet and do so.
Right. On the face of it, seems like a noble cause, right? Children shouldn't be looking at porn. I think that's a very universal take to have. Maybe not with our current administration. Maybe there's some things there, but we'll just say that's a pretty universal take of children shouldn't be exposed to sexual content. There we go. But the problem is that you can make the statement, we're protecting children from sexual content, while also stepping on the rights of people who should be able to view that legally and make their own decisions about it. And the problem is, how do you verify? How do you vet? What information do you collect? And what's
not an easy solution.
It's not an easy solution. The thing about this is, there's already laws in place that protect children from seeing sexual content and violence and gore and a whole bunch of other categories. There's SIPA and there's COPA. Those are already laws that are very well established. SIPA, the Children's Internet Protection Act. Does this sound familiar? Because it's basically the same words that were just put into the Online Privacy Act. COPA, the Children's Online Privacy and Protection Act. Oh wait, that one was also already on the books, which is also very similar to the language that was just put forward with this law. COPA places restrictions on software companies about the information they were able to collect about children under age 13, and also means that students under age 13 cannot create their own online accounts. In some cases, teachers may be able to create accounts for students. However, FERPA responsibilities still are enacted there. And so it has to have parental consent for teachers to be able to create. Yeah,
and loco parentis.
And loco parentis, exactly.
There you go.
It's nice talking to someone who understands some of this language. It's great. But I got into this argument all the time about heavy-handed filtering, because a lot of school administration, and we'll start with like talking about the schools, and then we'll broaden out to what this means for the general public or at home or whatever else.
The filtering argument also plays in work environments.
Yes, absolutely.
Should I block people from accessing Reddit on all work devices? Maybe. But what are you saying about, management and work philosophies and things like that? Is it's more important about them not going there than about managing that or enforcing that, or saying, hey, you're paid to do a job, do a job.
Right.
You're being a student, be a student.
Right.
There's an engagement there that by setting a policy, you're saying, oh, let's just make their jobs easier so they don't have to enforce it.
Right. Schools, public libraries, any institution that would normally have contact with children, where the children would be using the device, are already legally mandated to block sexually explicit content, violence, gore, not safe for work content, and a whole host of other categories. Gambling, piracy, those are all things that are in the list within the purview of SIPA. My standpoint to a lot of school administrations when I would talk to them, and I managed IT services for 10 different school districts, was we are going to filter to the legal extent that we are required to. But we're not going to extend beyond that. We don't have to block Reddit. We have to block certain content within Reddit. We have to block pornography on Reddit, but I don't have to block r/technology. And why would I? Because there's genuinely some good content in there. And there's things that might come up in a search engine, and if you've ever done a search engine for a weird tech issue, you've landed on a Reddit thread that had the right answer.
Yeah, you don't have to block r/hard, but you might want to be blocking r/hard something.
Right, right, exactly. And so we would block what we were legally required to block. And they said, well, what about staff? Staff is spending way too much time on Facebook. And I said, that's an HR issue. That's not a tech issue. And then they got really snippy, and I said, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Are you trying to block your users from Facebook, or are you wanting your users to be productive? Because those are two very different conversations. And maybe you need to have those.
And maybe in a Facebook case, there may be, as a former teacher, that might be the easiest way to reach out to a parent.
This is also correct.
There may be uses for good.
Facebook and Twitter were both legal communication standards for schools reaching out to parents.
Or, hey, this is our, sports schedule for the parents of this team, and how do we notify them? Or how do we get donors and alumni and all that jazz?
So as the IT department and as the managing figure, we monitor traffic. We know where people are going. I can print up daily reports about usage to various websites and things like that. And when we had some pretty draconian policies when we blocked everything, we saw maybe 60% of use of traffic going to legitimate sites that we thought were like legitimate work oriented, and about 40% of trying to get around it. We unblocked everything that we were legally allowed to unblock. Facebook, Netflix, Reddit, Twitter, like everything. Go down the list. That number went up to 95% of legitimate traffic. People weren't trying to get around it anymore because they could stream Netflix while they were grading their papers, and kids could watch YouTube while they're doing something that they would otherwise be doing. They could listen to Spotify. They could do this. They could do that. It wasn't their goal to get around the filter anymore. And so they were actually more productive because of it. And that's what my data showed.
But there's good ways to use that.
Yes.
There's bad ways to use that.
Yes.
There's good ways to manage that and bad ways to manage that.
Yeah.
And more often than not, we hear about bad cases of management to access or management and implementation of those.
And here's where we dive into the broader conversation about, well, we think porn should be blocked for everyone by default unless you provide us with a state-issued ID to prove that you are of a viewing age and can make the right decisions of that. By the way, is this going to be a government site that mandates this? No, we're going to forward you to a third-party, privately held site to verify your ID, which, of course, will never be hacked or leaked. And the comment that I wish I remembered the YouTuber that I watched, but he did a whole thing on this. I left a comment on his video. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now because he deserves a shout out, because a line that he used was fantastic. History, I will find it. Hold on. There he is. Evan Ettinger. He is an American who has been living in the UK for a number of years. As a YouTuber. And the quote from his video was, if you want to view this website, everyone just provide a random third-party company from the US a photo ID and a list of all your kinks. And don't worry, this information will never be leaked or used against you in any way, shape, or form. As a consenting adult above the age of 18, you have full rights to whatever sites you want to visit. And
wait till you get the targeted robocalling about
Wait till you get blackmail call. You think AI is aggressive now with blackmail calls or calling with a make and model and date of purchase of your vehicle and saying your extended warranty is about to expire when there was no warranty, you bought your car used. This is just a shady warranty company that wants $700 from you. If you don't think you can be a target of spear phishing, of voice impersonation, of saying, hey dad, I'm in jail, please send $1,000 in iTunes gift cards or they're gonna hold me and blah blah blah, you absolutely can be. It takes 10 seconds of voice recording to make a realistic voice impersonation AI.
Well, I think I provided more of that in this video. Damn you, Jeff.
You absolutely have. You've also got your face on camera. That was also a mistake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, ruh-roh. Yeah, it doesn't take much these days. The tutorials that I have on my channel alone, which I have not delved very much into generative AI, but the tutorials I have on my channel alone are basically enough for you to impersonate anyone, to let you know how accessible this crap is. And it doesn't take thousands of dollars in server hardware. It takes an RTX 3070 and a little bit of time. But getting down to the privacy issue of... And in fact, what's funny is the article that I listed here isn't even the YouTube issue. It's another privacy issue entirely.
We spun off on that side.
Yeah, we spun off pretty quickly because I had to give context to why I'm so concerned about privacy today. This one actually hits a little close to home. There's a city just 90 minutes south of me, Eugene, Oregon. They were in the news recently for their use of flock cameras. What's a flock camera? Great question. I'm glad you asked. Flock is a company that is doing surveillance and is doing automated AI-based license plate, person identification, car make and model identification, and tracking on a national and global scale. Basically, if you drive by a camera that looks something like, oops, hold on, like this guy here, you are being actively tracked and cataloged. The city of Eugene Police Department recently, I think Friday, said, we caught a guy who had been on the run for... had like 6 warrants out on him and whatnot because of our use of the Flock AI camera system. Now, mind you, in the video they posted, they had 9 squad cars roll up on this guy. They were chasing him for something else. Anyone in police affairs want to chime in, sure, go ahead, but this was a little bit more coordinated than agents on duty, please respond. This was a little bit of a, we know where this guy's going to be at this date and time, we'll roll up then. A little bit more coordinated than, oh, this guy suddenly showed up on Flock, let's get 9 squad cars to roll up. But they gave credit to Flock because Eugene has 50 Flock cameras deployed.
Well, and, you know, there's a little sensationalism here.
Sure.
Of course. But there's also this general, like, hey, how many times in crime TV and media have we seen that was like, all right, where was this last time this license plate was seen? Oh, yeah. It was seen 10 minutes ago, you know, on 28th Street.
Yeah.
You know. And, you know, there is that capability. But in order to have a system to do that, it has to be integrated.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have something able to analyze, process the data, and analyze it specifically in real time, as well as historical images, and be able to categorize them. I mean, we see this technology in simplistic forms in home surveillance. But, you know, as you get more intense and more advanced in it, yeah, it could do these things, but you need a homogeneous system there to do it. And what's the problem when you have a single homogeneous system, especially that's something that says, hey, we're the Portland PD and we're using a flock system. You know what that's done? That's put a big target on their back because, like, oh, yeah, I know the default password to a flock system.
Right.
La 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 la.
Or I have a random leaked password to a flock system. Or as this article on 404 Media is about, local police departments are giving DEA and ICE access to their flock logins so they can track for immigration and DEA enforcement purposes. And look, I am fully on the standpoint, if you violated the law, yes, you probably deserve to be arrested. However, if you're under the surveillance of ICE at the moment for, let's say, maybe not the right reasons, maybe you're being tracked to your courthouse dates for immigration reasons, which is your right to due process given immigration status, and then being pulled out of that. Not to pull you into the wildest of shows, Skull, but here we are.
I mean, there's an item to this that's like, okay, one party consent recording, things like that. You look at like tollways and doing automated capture versus chucking your change into a bin to pay the toll.
Yeah,
that is a form of recording. It's live camera. So it's to me, it's all about what is it being used for and how is that data being maintained.
Right.
If I'm saying, hey, I'm looking for, John Smith out there, and John Smith's got a warrant, and we've got an active search for him, and I can pull all this video database out there. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we're looking after this one guy, and we don't have a warrant, or I don't have any reason to look at him. There's no reason to pull this data. If there's no reason, why are you doing it?
Right.
So it's all about the controls and the systems in place.
Right. We have very, very, very strict policies in place when it comes to medical health records, when it comes to HIPAA compliance. So there have been numerous cases over the years of nurses and hospital staff fired for simply accessing patient data. For simply, oh, I heard my ex was in for something. What were they in for? And then that person is terminated because they didn't have a medical reason or permission or whatever to access that patient's data. We have those kind of protections in place when it comes to that kind of personal data. When it comes to your data as recorded by the city, by a local police department, by whatever else, then there's not necessarily the same protections in place. Although everyone is still granted the right of due process, and that's kind of the problem. Is right now we have ICE and DEA accessing these camera systems to basically go fishing, to start up the motor and pull up whoever they can. And if there's no impetus to initiate a search, which I'm pretty sure we still have Fourth Amendment rights in this country, if there's no impetus to initiate a search, why is that search taking place? And look, there are numerous sides to the legality argument. I don't want to get into them. I'm reading them.
Let the courts decide.
I'm reading them in chat. And Brandon, I'm just going to call you out. You are straight up ignorant and incorrect in your statement. The Constitution says all people, not all U.S. citizens legally here and born here. It says all people. All people are afforded due process. If you don't consider them people, that's a you problem. But all people are afforded due process under the courts.
Whether someone came across a border illegally or came in through a travel visa or here on vacation, at least in the U.S., they have rights to themselves and how they're handled in the U.S. legal system.
If I sneak into the United States illegally and I am arrested, I am still afforded a right to due process for why I am here. Because I might have crossed to seek asylum. And as soon as I'm arrested, I can say, I'm declaring a need for asylum. Guess what? You're assigned a case number and a trial date, and you're allowed to stay here until your trial date. But you're still afforded that due process, even in that system where you didn't follow the system to the letter of the law.
Yeah. And now there are complications and issues with systems at place, and that's why I like pointing at the argument of it doesn't matter if you're here illegally or you're in the country on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that because I am not used to that.
Right.
And it's legal in my country, but it's not legal here. You can run into 1,000,001 arguments to that, and you still deserve the protections of a legal system that, whether you deserve a protection of a legal system as a human being.
Right.
But yeah.
You are still afforded your right to a day in court. Period. Mm-hmm. End of discussion. That's what the Constitution says. And anyone who's arguing otherwise, you are flat out wrong. You can at me all day.
I would make the point of, this is a tech channel. It's not a legal channel.
Right.
We're not lawyers.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm certainly not a lawyer. But...
Or a legal expert.
Right. But I'll still say my interpretation of the Constitution is it says people. People are still afforded the right. And there's full lists of due process available for people who have crossed both legally and illegally. And there's an export process. And there's a deportation process. And those are all processes because they are processes within the legal system that you are afforded a right to.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, Going back to the article and the 404 one that you linked with these flock cameras, which, 90% of people probably had no idea what the hell is flock.
Right.
I think that there's an item here where it's like, should a, if this is a named company, capital F in flock, should they be implementing systems where shared usage should be against the terms and conditions? Should that be hey, we have a vehicle to provide a outside access to a user?
Mm-hmm.
You think of things like, hey, if I'm not to get in the legal side of it too much, but all right, I'm a defense lawyer and I want that flock camera footage because, it may help my client. How do they get access to it? There's got to be vehicles here for that. Versus just hey, Ice Agent Bro, here's our flock login. Here you go. Is there some onus on the company here to restrict, to limit access, to put in proper systems? This is my wonder.
Mm-hmm. Not going to get into it, Brandon, but I'm going to tell you you're wrong again, and then I'm going to leave it at that. Go learn you some immigration law. Do me a favor. Assume you're wrong. Not assume that I'm right, just assume that you're wrong, and go do some reading. Please. Go read up on it. Because there's a chance I'm wrong still, but I want us to learn. And that's the whole reason I started this channel. It's the whole reason I get up here and talk. And it's the whole reason I'm saying what I'm saying right now. Let's all make sure we know what's actually true, what's actually legal, what's actually right, what rights are actually afforded by the Constitution. But when it says people, and when the laws include provisions for both here legally and here illegally, and defines the processes for which way you go depending on the case, that means people. That means everyone, all-inclusively. The Constitution is not afforded just to U.S. citizens.
A person versus a citizen is defined.
Right. Yeah, when it means citizen, it says citizen. When it means people, it says people. Words have meaning. It's one of my favorite phrases. But yeah, there should be checks and balances. There should be laws passed based on information access, not simply for HIPAA and medical, but in general privacy contexts of what information you are allowed to gather and not, based on, you have to get a warrant to conduct a search. Well, what does a search entail? And there's statuses for plain view, there's statuses for things within your vehicle, there's statuses for things within your house, when searches are conducted, and what level of search can be conducted based on criteria of your rights as a person. You have fewer rights when you're out in public, but you still have rights. You have more rights when you're in your car in public, but you still have rights. You have even more rights when you're in your house. So
on your property.
Yeah. Right. You have rights to what is visible within a fence from plain view versus what's not visible within a fence. This comes up with security cameras owned by your neighbors. Your neighbors can put up security cameras that inadvertently see your private space, if it's viewing their own space, because that's considered within public view, within public eye. If I stood on my back porch and I can see into your backyard, but I'm surveilling my back porch, that is protected. I can view that. However, I can't put a camera on the fence post pointing into your backyard, because that would be an invasion of your privacy.
Exclusively at their backyard.
Exactly.
Or their windows, or,
Right. And so for private citizens, there are already legal limitations of where you can point cameras and what information you can gather based on the spaces that you're observing. And so within the public, it's a little bit broader. But should we legally be allowed to track people who are not otherwise privy to search on an automated system that searches inconsequentially?
And or should that system be readily available to be shared across agencies?
Right.
Without any undue paperwork or insert barrier or hurdle to cross.
Right.
I'm all for, like, hey, in the worst of situations, like we're trying to track this, insert whatever action,
this
movie.
Amber Alert, child kidnapped, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, we have this national database of license plate scanners. Let's go ahead and track this person down.
Let's use the system for good.
Right.
Let's not use the system for evil.
Right. Well, even Alphabet removed that from their company motto.
I mean, speaking of Alphabet.
Perfect.
Hey, I'm gonna compete with Rett with the transitions if I can.
Way to go! You're hired, sir.
Wait, this is still volunteer, right?
Yes.
So we skipped a little ahead on this next one.
Yeah.
But AI might be being used for not great.
Might be.
Might be.
Yeah.
Hey, creepy's in quotes.
Yeah, creepy is in quotes. Because that's a direct quote from people who were saying. But yeah. I brought up some concerns within this article a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the rollout of YouTube's AI Age Estimator. I made the point, when it comes to, let's just say, non-neurotypical people and their viewing habits. Maybe you watch My Little Pony reviews and Minecraft speedrunning tutorials. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not stereotyping. I'm just throwing it out there. But
well, like, is everyone that's interested in video game content, are they between the ages of 14 and 30? By an algorithm, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The reality, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I can point to pretty specific algorithmic feeds and go, that one is definitely geared towards under 18, that one is definitely geared towards over 18. Like, but if you look at my demographics, like let's just pull the average craft computing viewer. 45% of my viewership is age 25 to 45. Right? Like, it's a window. It's it's focused.
There's a type.
Yeah, there's
You
a
have
type.
a type.
Yes, there is a type who watches my content. 99% male. That's another factor within my content. I would love to expand outside of that. I would love to be more inclusive in that regard. I would love to know how I could reach more women in tech and make them interested. Yeah, 25 to 45, 45% of my audience, 99% male. Under 18, less than 1%. It is my smallest segment, even between like 65 and 75. That's a bigger percentage than under 18 for my viewership. So, yeah, you can draw some conclusions based on that, but any conclusion that I draw would not be 100% accurate. Even on my audience, even with as large of a segment as I can give you. There's people under 18. We've had a couple people under 18 join my Discord server. And yeah, there's a couple channels on there that are 18 only or 18 and above because we talk about beer. The content is about alcohol.
We've had people that have joined when 18 and crossed that 21-year-old border.
Yes. Yes. US. So that's been kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with the demographics that I could provide for viewership of my channel and my channel alone, I can't definitively say if you're above the age of 18, even though I can determine within 99%. 99% is not good enough, algorithmically.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I'd still be cutting off, let's say, even 5% of my audience.
Mm-hmm.
5% of my audience might be falsely flagged as being under the age of 18 and would require further authentication and verification. Who's providing that authentication and verification? What was that company name?
Yeah, and while you're looking that up,
yeah,
this is kind of a thought process. One of the things that I deal with a lot in my work is providing a contractual level of certainty. But that's an area within AI that we never really touched. Is what area or what percentage of certainty do we have that their interpretation is correct?
Mm-hmm.
And to this age demographic analysis, is it like, are they looking at a 70% certainty based off their calculations? Or are we, that's one thing that's never been advertised is, you could have people out there with false signals and, all right, they're watching all the, maybe age inappropriate content one way or the other,
right?
Or not age normalized content, but like TV has been doing this for years, and advertising been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm sorry, daytime television viewers, you're going to get a lot more Depends and pharmaceutical advertisements because you know who they're targeting at.
Mm-hmm. And
so
if you were like me and you stayed up to the 11 p.m. Sports Center, you got Girls Gone Wild ads. And
exactly.
Were they targeted to me and my under 18 self? Absolutely not. But that's what the demographics said 95% would be staying up above past 11 p.m. watching Sports Center. Would be men 35 years old. And so that's when those advertisements took place.
Mm-hmm.
They were also very wrong.
Yeah, but at what point is there the social mark to say, this is wrong? This creepy AI investing in trying to figure out this level of certainty. What is most appropriate?
Yeah.
And there's another layer here, is with where we would apply like an editor. When should I showcase this TV show, or when should I showcase this ad or whatnot? That used to be a human decision. We're now relinquishing that human responsibility, that human enablement, that intelligence, that judgment. What's the likelihood that that's going to make a good judgment?
Right.
And no one talks about that number, that level of certainty, because as soon as you start talking about that number, someone's going to hold you to that number.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the real crux where we're going with AI is, everyone's talking about, is AI going to bust, or is it going to .com bubble and it's going to burst?
Well, it keeps inflating and it hasn't burst yet.
I mean, I might be personally benefiting from the inflation side, so take it for what you will.
Yeah. I mean, I have a video that I'm shooting on this next Tuesday that is, I've been looking for the last couple of years for, give me a use case for AI that's not simply taking artists' jobs or trying to take your fast food order or something like that. Give me a use case
how do we replace a human?
Yeah, give me a use case that's not simply trying to replace a minimum wage worker. Give me a use case that's actually beneficial to a business that would actually invest in something like this. I'm going to go see a couple of demos on that and do a video on it. I was that interested in it, and I found a company willing to play ball with me and show me some demos of what they're actually deploying to customers and how customers are utilizing it. So I get to go see that. But you bring up a great point of, we've been freaking out on what happens when YouTube's algorithm flags me as under 18 and I have to verify my age. What about the flip alternative, which is equally likely, of it doesn't verify the age of someone who is definitely under 18 because their algorithmic viewing experience has keyed them as not being a minor? Is YouTube liable because they're not saying that this is a great system and not saying that the law is good, but simply looking at it from an objective standpoint, it is equally likely that we're going to see false positives for users over the age of 18 who view Minecraft speedruns versus false negatives for viewers who are 16 years old who are doing nothing but, hey, I'm interested in a Cisco web appliance tutorial to rebuild an old ASA 5505, like the crap that I used to watch when I was that age. Like, and is there a liability for a company falsely not flagging a minor?
I don't think the double negative would be like the false flag would come at it. As scary as this sounds, where do I think this is going to get solved first is advertising. So why aren't you recommending my ad is going to become the question. I pay YouTube thousands, millions, whatever amount of dollars to put my ad in their search. And if I learn as that person fronting that money that the proportionality of user base that is supposed to be hit is not accurate, it's sad to say.
Yeah.
The world gets solved faster in dollars and cents than it does in policy and morality and judgment.
Yes.
So I think that's where the answer gets posed first. And I don't think it's going to be the adult content realm. It's going to be Hasbro.
Yeah.
It's going to be who owns Nickelodeon these days?
Viacom.
You know, like it's going to be that stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you said we had kid audiences on your platform.
Right.
We want to target kid audiences with kid audience appropriate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you targeting that?
Yeah.
And there's going to be some fun lawsuits on that front.
Michael asks the question. We're going to get into it for a second.
Oh,
Michael,
right, I see it.
Michael asks the question. How do we stop our children talking about sex at school between their friends or talking about drugs? It starts way before they get to that point. I was a dare kid, as I think a lot of people my age were. You know,
or I will respect myself.
Right. They taught me to not use drugs by telling me all of the street terms for drugs, the proper pricing, and the effects that I might or might not like.
Hey, I was promised vans full of drugs.
Right.
That never happened.
Right. That never happened either, and I'm still salty about that. But that turned out not to be the right approach. But what I will counter with, and this is going to sound like a hot take, but I want you to hear the words that I'm saying. It is not illegal or morally wrong for a child, a 12-year-old, to discuss sex with another 12-year-old. I do not want you to mince my words there. I do not want you to misinterpret what I say. But what
add 2 years to that.
Add 2 years to that, sure.
14-year-olds, hey, she looks really hot that day. Hey, he looks really good that day. Those are conversations that happen.
Right.
Whether you want them to or not.
Teen pregnancy is a thing for a reason, because teens are knocking each other up at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Now, teen pregnancy has been on the decline for a long time. That's not the conversation we're having here. What I'm saying is, there's nothing morally or illegally wrong with a 14-year-old discussing sex with another 14-year-old.
There's appropriate venues and context.
There's appropriateness, there's morality, there's parenting, there's a whole bunch of other things that we can get into.
Legal is not in that argument.
But legal's not in that argument, and that's where the government influx comes in, and that's kind of the discussion here when it comes to greater privacy of everyone else.
You know, there's an element there that is assumptive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an element there that I think, okay, on any platform, we've talked already a little bit about, show me a barrier and they will find a way around it.
Mm-hmm.
That there's very much so this, if you know, you will find it. If you've heard, you will find it. If there's a will, there's a way kind of thing. And so, problems stem from an area of they haven't been addressed already, or an area of spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that this isn't a spontaneous thing,
Right.
Because what is a 12-year-old going to sound like when they're talking about things? You don't want to hear that conversation. You go, whoa, 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 whoa. You're really far off from any bit of reality because you've never experienced these things.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you start applying this like corporate structure to it, in this case, YouTube algorithm, trying to figure about, how old is our user, what is appropriate for that age group, and things like that. You're complicating things in the same way that an admin trying to say, all right, I'm going to play whack-a-mole with every porn site and every porn term that exists out there, and I'm going to prevent those from being searched.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what's going to happen? Something's new going to pop up, and you're not going to have a filter for it.
Right.
So
do the schools have a porn filter or a search term filter for goon yet? Do they have filters for whatever nomenclature Gen Alpha has come up with yet?
Can there just be an index of Urban Dictionary and we just block that index?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, let's use AI to catalog Urban Dictionary as a block list for search terms. Like, I think that's the quickest A to B pipeline, right? But
what about homonyms? Crap.
Right. But someone brought up, well, the government gets involved when it happens at school due to teacher and authority prompting. No, teaching kids about sex is not prompting them to go have sex. It's teaching you maybe don't have sex. If you're going to have sex, do it, blah, 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 blah.
There's a little bit more to that.
There is a little bit more to that,
There's
appropriate ways to teach it and environments that you talk about it in and things like that.
Yeah,
totally.
Hey, there's an appropriateness for, hey, I'm a teacher and I've seen someone putting another student in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
Because there is some kind of knowledge gap or hormonal gap or anything like this. And I'm sugarcoating things because I've seen it all as a middle school teacher.
Middle school is freaking weird, okay?
It got weird.
Yeah.
It got awkward. It got weird. And there's ways of appropriate saying that, hey, let's not talk about that right now.
Right.
And let's move on.
Yeah.
And there's ways of making it not a big deal. And there's ways of, fire up the alarms and sirens and say, shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a responsibility there of what tool do you use in the right moment?
Right.
And when everything is looked at as a nail and you're a hammer, everything will always be a nail. And so, whether it's sexuality of any kind, whether it's adult themes, whether it is, I think about, in this example, to not take a sexual nature of this, but I remember when I was teaching, that was the prime of Game of Thrones coming out, and everyone was talking about Games of Thrones and Breaking Bad. And there's a way of saying, hey, this is really good, and my parents let me watch this. And 5 years or whatever prior to that, I remember growing up, did your parents allow you to watch South Park or not? Was that an okay thing in your household?
In my household, at debut, no.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not.
Yeah, there's that, that idea of individual household of what was allowed or not allowed. Cool. Understanding and having an acknowledgement that something might exist is not endorsement.
Right.
Is not saying you have to be a fan of or not a fan of or anything. That just cool. I understand,
Yeah.
In any context, why someone may be approving or not approving of something. That doesn't change the reality of enforcing said under a particular guise or enforcing it under a particular doctrine or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. There also seems to be this disconnect, and I just banned someone for it, of simply acknowledging the existence of means advocating for. And so, not even going to repeat the comment, but they're teaching these kids about the existence of this sexual group or this orientation, and so they're indoctrinating our kids to be that orientation. And that's not what that is. you can acknowledge the existence of a group, and you can simply say, you know, LGBT exists. Here's what they are. Here's what they believe. Here's even what they practice. The same way you would say a man and a woman, this is how they have a baby. This is your traditional...
Some people like Pepsi, some people like Coke.
That's right. That's all that is. No one in the history of anyone has ever said, oh, those are lesbians. And some girl in the class went, oh, I want to do that now. You know, and it's the same kind of thing when I said, you know, 14-year-olds talk to each other. When did you become aware of the sex that you were attracted to? Sometime between 12 and 15. Like,
we all know our first visual crush.
Yes.
That exists.
Yeah. You opened your eyes and
whoa. Why am I thinking about that way?
Jill, you're looking really good today for some reason. Like, you know, all of a sudden it was just a thing. And
there's that light bulb moment, and
right.
Everyone knows when that light bulb moment happened.
Right. And
whether you say it out loud or not,
and
everyone knows.
And you were at an age that sounds really bad to talk about today, but it's the age that it happens. And look, I'm not trying to get canceled tonight. I'm just saying that hormones are a thing at 14 years old.
For someone who has kids, not me,
yeah,
but you know, that might be verging on that age.
Yeah,
this is not unfortunate, but this is a reality that we live in. And when we start applying, I mean, nothing good has ever come from, you know, painting with the widest roller when it comes to people. And, you know, when we start thinking about policies, things that might be by, there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be weirdness. There's always going to be interpretation that gets weird.
If you want to know how weird it gets, number one, people are chiming in with their awakenings and comments right now, which I love. If anyone's a fan of Taylor Tomlinson, go watch some of her crowd confessions videos that are on her YouTube. She's doing her tour right now, and she's been doing it for like a year. One of her questions is specifically of you know, LGBT, but of like anyone in general, who was your sexual awakening? And the answers are wild.
Why?
It is some of the best stand-up you've seen ever, because as I'm not going to name the name, but someone says in our chat, mine was Goofy Movie Roxanne, and I think back to my 12-year-old self and go, I see it. I understand. It wasn't mine,
but I understand.
Right. Right.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. Need I say enough?
There you go. Right.
Was also dropped in chat. But, you know, there's just that reality of, I think there's no version of any of this within generalization that usually works out well. And I'm surprised as an individual in this economy that we're being driven that way.
Right.
You know, whether that's the U.S. economy, whether that's global tech, whether that is, and more often than not, this is them responding to legislation. And unfortunately, with a global market economy in these things, usually someone drives to the most restrictive item and just says, we're going to flat plane off of that. Everybody has to apply to this.
Someone said The Mummy was mine, and I said The Mummy hits hard no matter what your orientation is.
Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser. Need I say more?
There you go.
I don't know the actor's name, who played Imhotep.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's on somebody's radar.
I'm sure. Yeah.
or the brother. Oh, what's his name?
I'd completely forgotten about him. That cast was so much better looking than they had any right to be across the spectrum.
There's that like lanky, nerdy English guy.
Yeah.
Brother that I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Weird 3 a.m. facts that are going to hit you later. But this is it.
Right.
I'm just calling it now.
So, yeah, it feels weird, like you said, in this economy, like, and as my sister likes to say, on Pride Month of all things. That was in June, but whenever I slap her down for anything, she goes, "You're doing that to me now on Pride Month?" It's great.
John Hannah. Thank you, Rev.
Yeah.
A bit fair. Yeah.
But, you know, for so long we've looked at countries that do have very strict guidelines of what is acceptable to search and what we're allowed to search as a populace, and we look at them and we go, that's probably not right, and we applaud you for getting around the Great Firewall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking over and I have the wealth of human information in my hand, and I'm going to be age checked to search for certain things. Are we going to delete the websites that don't agree with a certain morality? Because we're a half step away from burning books at that point. Like,
I mean, are we Great Firewall of?
I know it sounds extreme, but there's not many steps between here and that.
Are we getting to privatized internet services that say we will provide you the internet service and firewalls that will only allow the Lord's favorite content?
I mean, we already
Side
saw.
Note, if I wanted to write a business, I think I just created one.
We've already seen like a 100x spike in VPN searches for when the EU laws enacted.
27 favorite states in the US.
Yeah, it's 19, but yeah, who's counting?
19.
Yeah. The problem is, and the problem that Evan, the YouTube channel I mentioned earlier, I'm going to link his channel. In fact, I'm going to link the exact video in the chat here, because I think everyone should watch it. And then I'll also put it in the Discord and the Talking Heads. So get access to the Discord, link in the description. The whole point of his video was age verification just made VPNs worse. And I went, well, how is that a thing? Like, people getting on VPNs, maybe, protecting yourself from prying eyes, maybe that's a good thing in our current socioeconomic situation. The problem is, not everyone can afford a VPN service that genuinely doesn't keep logs and won't sell your advertising data and that kind of thing. And so what are people going to be attracted to? Free VPNs, which don't. There's also not a lot of information around VPNs of what's a good VPN and things like that. And there's a lot of bad VPNs out there. There's a lot of threat actor VPNs out there that simply want to steal your information, because if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. And sometimes even if you're paying for the product, you're still the product. Thank you, Google, Apple, Amazon, etc. And if there's more eyes from legislation on VPNs, how long until they try to take away VPNs? Oh, wait, they're already trying to do that, and they're also trying to ban encryption, and they're trying to make client-side chat searches a thing, and this is all things that are happening right now. And it's why I say, look, we should block to the legal extent of child protection laws that are already on the books, is why I mean that so heavily. Is because there's already protections on the books to prevent children from looking at this, even in the purview of parental guidelines. You as a parent can be sent to prison for showing your child porn, and that's totally a thing. And there's already laws on the books for that. There's already laws on the books that also says your ISP is not responsible for the content that it delivers to you because it can be held unaccountable so long as it abides by basic protection laws. There are laws in place for any public and even private institutions that provide data to children to be able to shield them from those laws. Schools, libraries, public institutions, access points, public Wi-Fi, they all have to abide by those guidelines. Those are all already in place. So let's make 95% of the internet going public follow anti-privacy legislation and show our IDs and put all of our names and faces and credit card information to data that we are transmitting to protect the 5% with protections that are already in place, but vastly undermining the privacy protections that are in place for the 95% for data that will inevitably be leaked by savvy people. As his script said, please provide your ID along with a list of all your kinks. How long until that list leaks? That's the problem.
I would point the unfortunate part is we're not the people that write the laws. So contact your local legislators and inform them of your opinion.
Yep.
At least last I checked, neither of us are public officials.
I'm not not on any level anymore, actually. So is this the first show you imagined being on?
Not far. I mean, pulling back the curtain, there have been some other close calls of, oh my God, I don't have a host. Help, 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 help.
Yeah.
So, no, all good. It was kind of an interesting day for me too. So this was kind of a fun flip on the end of the day.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining on such late notice. You've offered before, and I went, hey, let's play that friend card.
Yeah, we'll throw that one in.
Yeah.
And whatever. What is this, like $3.90?
$3.95.
$3.95.
Yeah.
We'll throw this one in. Is all right? We scratched that one off. Rev, you're next.
That's right.
Maybe ID.
ID, has ID been on an official show? He was on. No, hold on. Has ID? I need to look up. ID might have been on one of my live streams, not a Talking Heads, but on a live stream where I was assembling Axe Effects. I think he was. I need to look that up.
Yeah, well, like in voice only, but like
I don't think he was on
co-hosting.
Yeah, not official. So yeah, ID's been on before, but ID might be a fun one to have on. Actually, maybe sometime in this next month as we're getting closer to launching OpenViro. So I do have some news from that, but I think I will save that for another day. I am going to do an official post here very soon. But we do have some news on OpenViro. We are moving forward. We did a bunch of our validation tests this week. We passed almost entirely with flying colors. We need to add a couple very basic components to the board, just a couple of like spot checks just to shore up a couple of things. And we did fry a board on the 8K ESD test. But it was down to the case design, not down to a board failure. So yeah. The case is entirely me. So I didn't have the right protections in the case, but I was actually very, very close as it turns out. So a minor revision there, and we're basically ready to pull our trigger on our bulk order. So news on that probably coming within the next week or so.
I think you said in private channels, hey, if we passed through 100%, it would have been a miracle.
Yeah.
If we pass through like 90%, I'm all ear to ear smiles. So.
And I think we did 95. So like.
Take that.
Yeah. Like our Hail Mary was like, man, if we're 90% and we don't need to respin anything or anything like that, like we're golden. we came in that like 9 to 10 percentile. We were afraid that our power delivery was going to be, because we have to comply with all CE laws, which means we can't accidentally be a radio.
Yeah, no noisy power.
No noisy power. We passed all of that with flying colors. As far as the things that we need to pass for an industrial device, and so yay us, like super excited. We failed the 8K ESD, and I'll show you. So this is our case right here, and we have a top panel that goes down with 4 screws
for the probe.
The only reason we failed is because it arced to one of the screws, and that screw was not fully isolated, and was close enough to a 5-volt capacitor that it found ground there and went through, and it killed our network chip. It killed our LAN chip.
So a little rubber washer, or
actually, we have an internal baffle inside the case that is already supposed to isolate the screws and the LED. The screw terminals weren't tall enough. That's the only thing we have to change. We have to make those sleeves go all the way to the roof. And when we do that, we're fully compliant. And it'll pass. So
another quarter of a second on the 3D printer, and you're there.
Basically, yes. We're actually, I have my calipers here. How much? 3.6 millimeters taller on the print. So another 4 minutes on the printer for an entire bed.
Yeah.
And that part is now compliant.
Well, I hate that I probably volunteered Rev or ID for a future show. Sorry, not sorry.
ID was already pretty much guaranteed to be on as the developer of OpenViro as well. And so I was probably going to get him on at some point anyway. Funk definitely needs to be on a show. We need to get Funk on a show. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe we'll do some mod chat shows here in the near future. Yeah. Get everyone a rotation.
or make them wait another 395 episodes.
That's right. We'll do one every 395. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching episode 395 of Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube, except for next week. I'm going to throw a sideball at everyone, or a curveball at everyone. Next week we are on at not Thursday, Tuesday. What day is that? Exact day, 19th. Tuesday, August 19th. I will be live from somewhere in San Francisco. This one's not going to be open to the public because we will be from the PC World headquarters with one Adam Patrick Murray. So if you're a fan of Adam and the PC World crew, tune in. We will be live next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Anyway, if you like the show, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already, and join the Patreon. That is the only way to get exclusive access to our Discord server, where Skull is a mod. Point the right direction here. Skull, Rev, Funky Monk, gosh, who else is there? Claw,
ID
Prom. All the mods from Talking Heads are over there, as well as all of the regular hosts, John, Rett, Steve, and everyone else that I've had on. They all hang out over there. You can even find one Dr. Ian Cuttress over there from time to time.
Or one Adam Patrick Murray.
Adam Patrick Murray. There's a Wild Cheese roaming over there. Yeah, we've got a lot of people that hang out over there. So, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next week. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.